Shot clock again, down to 5. Harden, step back 3. Bang!
That was James Harden hitting the game-icing three-pointer as part of a 41-point performance in Game 3 of the 2019 playoffs between the Rockets and Warriors in the second round. The Warriors went on to win that series in 6 games. It was a series where the Rockets looked like they had a chance for a moment because Kevin Durant was hurt. Unfortunately, they were not able to take advantage of that.
Game 6 of that series at Toyota Center. Again, no Durant. So you're like, there's still a chance. This was what, Game 3? Then Steph Curry scoreless in the first half. Going great in an elimination game. Steph Curry in the second half scores 30 points. Warriors win. And yeah, that's kind of the end of that. So, but this was a great moment. This was while I was already kind of like, I'd already made my peace with the James Harden era.
Harden had a couple moments against the Warriors, right? This is earlier that year. January 4th of 2019.
To get 3. Down to 3, down to 2. It's a 3. Good! Good!
Have been fouled in the grill of Draymond Green.
Yeah, Harden hit a game winner in an overtime game over Draymond Green. Harden had a couple of moments over the course of his career. There were just so many playoff moments where he faltered, and I think it is fair to beat him up for that, no matter how good he was in the regular season, and to remember that more than you remember what he did during the regular season, because regular season basketball is very different from playoff basketball. And I think no player proved that more than James Harden. The regular season, every single night, the intensity defensively is just not there. In the NBA playoffs, it is a totally different animal. And I think Harden, had he worked a little bit harder at being in the best shape he could be, instead of enjoying himself, which, hey, if I were in his shoes, I think it would be hard on that front, he would probably be looked at as a much better player. I don't know if those moments where it looked like he was out of gas are entirely the reason where he had these playoff struggles, but I always felt round 2 on, it was fair to expect James Harden to be more tired than he was in the regular season facing that playoff intensity defense. And, you play against a team like Golden State, even if you have a couple of moments, you have to consistently do it. And since he didn't consistently do it, I really don't find many redeeming qualities from the James Harden era, because I did not enjoy watching that version of basketball aesthetically. And that version of basketball, which was an attempt to just keep pace with the Warriors, Daryl Morey saying, hey, let's get rid of 2-point shots. Let's start focusing on threes instead. That is part of the larger trend of basketball, which has become a worse product as teams tried to do similar versions of this, realizing that the math actually adds up to shooting more threes than twos. Makes a lot more sense, even if you're not a very good 3-point shooting team.
Yeah, it was just basically like the Warriors are a great 3-point shooting team in percentage, but if we can't get to that percentage, what if we just shot more?
Right.
And that's kind of the like really simple down version of that. And yeah, just the like aspect of, well, you can take a jump shot here and it's 2 points, or you can take it 2 steps back and it's an extra point. It's like you can just I saw a highlight package of Kevin Garnett long twos. It was hilarious because there's so many times
to do that.
He would catch the ball outside the 3-point line, take 1 step in as he caught the ball, so his heels were on the 3-point line.
Yeah,
I'm just like, that's crazy.
Paul Pierce used to take a lot of shots from the elbow too, and he was great at that.
Harden did that as well early. Harden really.
Harden's mid-range was great.
What happened to him was that he just kind of turned more and more into like the extreme, like parody of himself almost, where like early in the Rockets days, like he would take mid-range jump shots and he would do different things and even playoff ball. And then the further along you got, the more and more it's like he has the ball down the court every single time, which I don't have like a huge problem with. It's just that there's also no movement
Right.
off of that. So it did just turn into, it's either going to be a pick and roll with Clint Capella into either a drive or step back three,
Yep.
or pass to Capella, or it's going to be an ISO that's either going to be a drive or a step back three.
Yep. And I think it made it easier for defenses because
Yeah.
they didn't have to move around either. You can just stand and watch them. You can catch
It
your
doesn't
breath.
challenge them.
Right.
Like it challenges one person.
Right. The guy who continuously ran out of steam, James Harden. Yeah, you're right on that front. I always used to say whenever he would struggle from outside, I thought to myself, hey, man, take a couple steps in, shoot a couple mid-range shots, and then take the steps back out because you'll heat up. Because he really was automatic from mid-range. And when he was going north and south, especially in his prime, because he is a thick guy, he was so good in the lane. And
Bounce off guys.
right. Like he actually could power through to score some of the shots that he could. And yeah, sure, he embellished a little bit, but I never had an issue with him embellishing in the lane. The issues I took were when he would embellish from while shooting a three-pointer outside.
Stuff.
Right, because he would stick his feet out like at a 45-degree angle underneath him, like he was doing a leg raise, and that bothered me a lot. And then the flopping became worse and worse, and he just seemed soft.
The 2018 game 7 was the ultimate, like, hey dude, you could like please take a mid-range jump shot. Like please, they're begging you to take a mid-range jump shot.
They shot 27 straight threes and missed all of them. And the fouls, blah 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 blah. Shut up, Daryl, you bitch. Like I'd say that to his face. Daryl was such a whiny little bitch about that with the report that they got after the fact, and it was unbecoming. And this Rockets team has come not a long way just from the team that they were with Steven Silas. They came a long way from this. I just they don't strike me as a bunch of whiners.
If anything, the way that it's going to go down is that the complaints will be that like there's too many foul calls.
Right.
Like it's a little bit Houston Cougs against Duke. We're going into the game. We're just like, hope they swallow the whistles. Because if they do that, Houston has a chance. It's the same way where it's like if the Rockets are allowed to be physical down low in the rebounding and physical off ball with Steph Curry running around screens to stay attached to him, that's good for the Rockets. If Amin Thompson picks up 2 quick fouls in the first quarter, like off ball guarding Steph Curry, that's when it's
not
like,
good.
This is going to be a long night.
I think this matchup lends itself though to having to call it consistency because the Warriors are pretty physical as well. So that like from that matchup perspective, if you're looking to get mad at the refs, and I saw some people putting the stats, the splits for this year for foul calls against the Rockets, foul calls against the Warriors during Rockets-Warriors games. I mean, the Rockets are being called for more, but I'd look at it from if it's the playoffs, they're going to try to call it consistently. They are self-aware enough, not as self-aware as the NFL, but they're self-aware enough to correct.
Yeah. And there's also always the aspect of like, well, the Rockets just play more aggressive defense. And so you're just going to foul more if you're playing more aggressively, just like you're going to shoot more free throws. Like when people just take a screenshot of the box score of the free throw disparity, it's like, well, one team, all they did was shoot threes and the other team was taking it down low. No way that team got more free throws because they're driving into the lane every time.
One last highlight from Rockets Warriors of years past. The end of game 5 in 2018, which is where Chris Paul got hurt, but the Rockets were able to take a 3-2 series lead at Toyota Center. You got to hear this audio. I am praying that we get this kind of energy at Toyota Center on Sunday night.
And here it is, Curry for Green. He's fumbling it, picked up by Grant with a foul call, 2 4/10 seconds remaining. To the line, he's 7 of 8 at the line. An 88% free throw shooter.
Lid on it right here. He knocks this down.
4-point lead for Houston. Thompson out of the backcourt just swings it, and that will do it. Houston has taken a 3-2 lead on Golden State and will look to close out the Warriors on their home court in Game 6 Saturday night and advance to the NBA Finals.
I mean, the crowd smelled blood, but I think that's the loudest Toyota Center's been. That was the last time it was that loud. I mean, was it the loudest it had been since the Summit days? Probably. They were up 3-2. You weren't 100% sure what was going on with Chris Paul. You felt great, and I'm hoping that crowd comes back. It has been a while since we have even seen something remotely close to that at Toyota Center, and I do think that the scars of the past will make those who do show up, assuming that a good amount of people show up. I do think that this could be theoretically a pretty lit environment. The problem is this 8:30 tip-off on a Sunday night, Easter specifically.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of this being the day where
Saturday night would have been better, right? Saturday at like 7.
Yeah. Now 7:00, and of course this is West Coast BS. I mean, really, we're starting the game at practically 9:00 to make it easier for all these lefties on the West Coast. I say lefties because that's the left part of the United States, guys. Come on. It's one of those things where that probably works against the crowd, but I'm dying for an atmosphere like that again. It has been so damn long. And I mean, Toyota Center's been off in a mausoleum this year. It's been empty as hell. It's been kind of embarrassing. I get it. They've been bad for a while, but this is sort of Houston sports crowds as a whole, right? Like unless it's a real reason to show up, they don't generally do it. Like Texans in the playoffs, that's kind of it. Or Astros in the playoffs against the Rangers. Or
Astros in the playoffs in the ALCS.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they were there for the Mariners. The Mariners crowd was loud.
That is true.
But it's weird. And I'm hoping that energy can be recaptured. I miss it. I miss feeling that at an actual Houston sporting event. The last time I really felt it was the Texans-Browns game in the playoffs a couple of years ago after the second pick six. Everyone was losing their mind. And then the Texans swarm stuff was starting. It was lit. Last year, not so much in that Chargers game. Everyone was happy they won, but, they were underwhelmed, I think, by what they had seen leading up to that point. We'll see what happens. It's an Ask Alon Anything Friday. 713-780-3776 to call in, to text it on YouTube at ESPN Houston, on Twitch at ESPN 975. Daryl Morey is calling in. I don't believe this for a second. Daryl, what's up?
Hey, Paul. This is Daryl from Philly. I heard you're calling me a little bitch on the radio. And how dare you? I did so much for the city of Houston. I kept James Harden there. I gave y'all PJ Tucker and signed him to a huge contract.
That's true.
I did so much for this. I almost won the title for Houston.
But you didn't do.
I dare you.
You didn't.
I dare you.
And your crowning achievement, Daryl Morey, is that people don't remember that the Rockets almost got to the finals. They remember that you wrote that little whiny report about the referees not calling the game your way in a game where you missed 27 threes in a row.
Well, they weren't. It's unfair. Chris Paul's knee went out. Wasn't my fault.
Okay, but it did go out, and they had a chance to win still, buddy.
I'm just saying. I dare you call me a bitch on the radio.
I mean, listen, the way that you handled that was bitchy. When you had that tweet in support of Taiwan and Hong Kong or whatever it was, like that wasn't bitchy. But yeah, the whininess of the Rockets regime with Harden and you back in the day, I wasn't a fan. Big dog. Appreciate it, Daryl. Daryl Morey, everybody.
I'm just glad he just didn't try to get you fired.
Yeah, he does that from time to time, huh? It was more Tad Brown doing stuff like that than it was.
Yeah, that is true.
Than it was Daryl Morey. No, Daryl.
Hopefully, we don't have Tad calling.
Daryl, I remember I played Daryl in the Rockets 3-on-3 tournament, and I dove for a loose ball at Daryl's feet. I think he followed me on Twitter after that.
Oh, okay.
No, I think he gained respect for me there. He's a big guy. Daryl's a big guy. He's like 6'3" probably.
Oh wow,
surprisingly big guy. Yeah, you wouldn't expect it because
hey
guys, it's me, Daryl.
And the scale of like I've seen him stand next to Dwight Howard, and so it's just like it gets thrown off of like, oh wait, that's what a 6'3" guy looks like next to Dwight Howard.
Yeah. But no, he handled that Warrior stuff like just so pathetic. It really was. Like I get it, but like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah,
like, what happens when this becomes public?
Yeah, every team like puts out like a whatever, like they'll put basically between every game of a playoff series. I don't think most people know this, that like it is basically a someone on the team's job to put together highlights of calls that they either want to be made or that were made, and they're like asking why these were called. Like that, every team does that between every series. It's just that it's not a complete like dossier,
Yeah.
and it doesn't come out like a year later. Like it doesn't actually leak. But every team does do the like, hey, watch out for the Tatum.
Yeah, that's fair.
Watch out for the Tatum off arm thing, and they just like they don't go about it. That's the thing. Daryl Morey did everything to the extreme. It was all extremes where like he needed a little bit, and still
Good
does
point.
need some more finesse in how he manages things generally.
The sensitivity that this fan base had towards the refs, with Bill Worrell on the call constantly complaining about it to the point of, hey, we get it, move on. With Daryl Morey, with James Harden flopping, like it all added up. As someone who covered the
Yeah.
team, to me, I was way more sensitive to it than most because it was for me an every night thing. I was just like, oh, we're doing this again.
And it was like it's also predicated on the referees, where it's like it is all on offense. It's all about not all about trying to get fouls, but a lot of it's trying to get fouls.
Like I get it, there's a gamesmanship to it, but at the same time, hey, if it doesn't work out for you, don't complain about it because you are trying to rig the game again.
Let's have a plan B for when it like let's say the refs don't call it, then what? And it's no, just keep doing it until they do.
At least with sign stealing, like you still have to hit the baseball like the Astros did, you know? At least
it's not dependent on something.
Right. Like this is like, hey, let's try to take advantage of the system by being dishonorable men, you know, by being just flopping little, you know what skis.
Yeah. Bringing shame upon our name.
But that's what I hated. I mean, like, you know, here's a hot take. I don't think it's coincidental that era of Houston Rockets basketball came at a time where we were starting to get woke. And we live in a land of victims. You know, everyone's a victim these days. Everyone needs to be special. And woke culture allowed the Houston Rockets to become what they did become. And they've come a long way since then. And I love how far they've come since then.
Daryl Morey, too woke. That's our social media. I'll send that to Sam.
Hell yeah, I love that.
Like, can we get a expression, something for the thumbnail?
Oh yeah, on YouTube. Like, whoa! If you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, that way we'll get so many hits on our click side of things.